Gertrude Dart was born in Bradford, Pennsylvania on January 26, 1866. Her father, J.R. Dart, moved to Weberville, Michigan a year later in pursuit of lumber interests. Mr. Dart moved his family yet again when he was elected sheriff, this time to Mason. Gertrude attended school locally until the 11th grade when she was sent to St. Mary's Academy in Notre Dame and afterwards to Somerville College in St. Clair, Michigan. After her schooling, she returned to Mason and married Dr. Alexander B. Campbell on February 3, 1887. Gertrude decided she wanted to assist her husband's general practice, and with her husband's support and his collection of medical books, she began studying medicine and quickly became one of her husband's most able assistants. A typhoid fever epidemic hit the area in 1891, and unfortunately, Dr. Campbell himself succumbed to the disease. They had been married only 4 years. They never had children. Left alone, Gertrude sank into depression for the next year. Ultimately, however, she decided to continue her work as a physician. Women were still a rarity in medicine in 1892. Gertrude joined the medical school at the University of Michigan as the only woman in her class. While the university had been accepting female applicants since 1870, it made acceptance in the school no less difficult. Her fellow students refused to acknowledge her abilities, and at least one instructor forced her to take her class in the hall. Even while accepting her diploma, the dean of medicine himself turned his back on her. Gertrude returned to Mason to continue her husband's practice. While attracting new patients initially proved difficult, her returning patients quickly spread word of Dr. Gertie's compassion and knowledge. Dr. Gertie began her lifelong service to women's education during this time, becoming involved in the local school district and serving on the school board. A few years after the turn of the century, she traveled to the Northwest Territories in Canada to visit her brother Fred, who worked in lumber. While there, she met Reverend John O'Sullivan, an Episcopal missionary. They married in 1910. Dr. Gertie spent the next 16 years juggling multiple roles and responsibilities. She served on the local school board, served as both city physician and city health officer, serving as the minister's wife and maintaining her own private practice. On top of this, she would routinely return to Mason. In 1931, Dr. Gertie and a group of 9 other women gathered at the local tavern and formed the Mason College Club for Women, aimed at helping women's education. Reverend O'Sullivan passed away in 1932. After his passing, Dr. Gertie traveled to Ireland to study at the Rotunda Hospital in Dublin. She returned to Mason 2 years later. She would go on to study obstetrics at the Margaret Haig School in Jersey City and pediatric and traumatic surgery at Columbia University in New York, as well as various studies in Edinburgh and London. In 1947, at the age of 81, Dr. Gertie attended the Pan American Conference of Women Physicians in Mexico City. A year later, she attended the Nation DAR convention in Washington. At her 50th class reunion, she saw that she suddenly had the respect of her old classmates. She noted sarcastically and somewhat irritably that the admiration would have been nice to have had during her actual schooling. In her final years, she took to offering her services for free, committing to never turn away a patient who couldn't pay. Dr. Gertrude B. Dart Campbell O'Sullivan died in her home in Mason on September 14, 1949. In her memory, the Mason College Club, the organization she helped form, established the Dr. O'Sullivan Scholarship Fund, which is awarded to local graduating high school students who are deserving of Dr. Gertie's traditions.